Green went black. Are we live? Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm guessing that the
we need
screen is
picture.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need the
picture.
picture.
We need picture.
Do you have
here.
Sorry,
picture
we'll
on your end?
Cut this part out later.
Okay,
There
I'm
you go.
back.
I keep saying
Okay,
that,
great.
but I forget to do it.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 180 podcast. My name's Ellie.
And I'm Tara. and I'm
And
right here.
yeah, well, welcome. Just for everybody who haven't checked us out yet, please check us out on our website 180shift.org, and also visit our social medias. In Instagram, it's 180.shift. Twitter and TikTok, 180shift. YouTube is Shift 180, and then at Facebook is Tara, and then the letter N, and then Ellie. So, and actually, I have a little bit of an update for TikTok. One of our videos is now hit 5.9 million views, so about to get 6 million views. That's crazy.
That's very good.
That's
yeah.
pretty good,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you
Yes.
who've watched it and liked it and commented.
For those of you who haven't checked out that video, go on TikTok, go check it out. We have it pinned, I believe. And also share it to some of your families and friends. Share it so we can get to 6 million. So, yeah, and we're almost to 30,000 followers as well.
That was the video with at the school board district, right? With the
I believe so, yeah.
and it was not the mom, but the lady who was like a concerned person for the kids.
It could be that one. We have several videos who are in the millions right now, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's really cool because that is something that needs to be, just get the word out. It's like a positive message and it needs to be shared. So,
yeah. Well, that's great. Okay, I think.
Anyway, we have a guest.
Yeah.
We
can move on. Yeah, I don't know.
And he is not my dad. No, he's my dad.
Tara, I'm your father.
I'm regretting this already.
Yeah. So we have Tara's dad on today. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, I'm excuse me. I'm Emilio Martinez. I don't speak that high when I go on radio, but if you meet me in real life, I kind of speak like this. But
oh my god.
for radio, I code shift into my radio voice. Yeah.
I think we all have that radio voice sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I try to present a more male authority in public because otherwise, I just sound high squeaky most of the time.
Hey, speaking of male authority, did you guys see Barbie?
Yeah.
I have not seen Barbie. I refuse to see Barbie.
Okay, you're one of the people who are just gonna refuse to watch it.
It's a chick flick.
I mean,
I don't know.
I
mean,
well, you know what? Okay, so I watched it this morning, but I have a lot of guy friends who are gonna go watch it because they're so
curious.
They're like, it's Ryan Gosling. We gotta go see it. I don't know if you're into have you seen them where it's a literally me character or whatever. I don't know.
It's the me. Wait, what?
Me character. I don't know. It's like. Guys get into the point where they're like, oh, that's me. That's literally me. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah. Okay.
Relatable.
Well, yeah. It's like a relatable character, I feel like, but they just take it to a delusional
I
level.
don't think that, no offense to anyone, but I don't think that people should relate to Ken. He's like the queen of the beta males.
No, what I'm talking about is more specifically, for example, Ryan Gosling is one of those characters.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, and specifically in the movie Drive.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I was.
Why is Barbie so popular? Can anybody answer that? Why is that movie so popular? Because it seemed like just a chick flick to me that was like, oh yeah, women can relate to this.
One of them was the Ryan Gosling thing. It pulled in a lot of people that I know.
Oh really?
Yeah, the majority.
Well, Margot Robbie
No,
pulled in a lot of people.
I know it's Barbie.
It's Barbie.
I mean, yeah, it is Barbie.
Come on,
I know.
Barbie's the reason that I'm kind of sexist.
No.
What?
Let me tell you, I used to be super feminist.
Oh.
Super feminist. Like men and women, they're just alike. There's, gender is a social construct. I was really into that.
Mm-hmm.
And
then Barbie.
No, and then I had children.
Oh.
And my son, despite my best efforts to provide lots of gender neutral options, he kept playing with trains. And then my daughter, despite my efforts to provide lots of gender-neutral options, would go, Barbie, 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 Barbie.
Is this true?
And I would be like, yes, absolutely. And I'd be like,
me on the spot.
I would be like, yikes! I don't want this kind of like perverted feminist image of a woman as some kind of like sex object toy. I don't want that. My daughter playing with it. Nope. Next thing I know, she was cutting off the hair, putting on all the dresses, playing with the Barbie dream house. And I was a dad who loved my daughter. So next thing you know, I was buying Barbie for Christmas and Barbie for birthdays and
Wow.
Yeah. I
yep.
did love
And then
Barbie.
at that point, I realized
Not gonna
maybe
lie.
maybe there's some truth to like gender appropriate toys.
What do you mean by that? That's offensive.
I know. I didn't mean to become. Look, I've always been a little offensive, but it's usually on both sides of the fence.
Okay. Here's
So-
one thing that was raised in Barbie is that Barbie, the image of her is fascist, a capitalist nightmare, and
Yeah.
what else did they say? Just thing about body positivity,
Yeah, like, it
unrealistic
was not-
expectation
yeah.
for women.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things I didn't want to push on my young daughter was any
Mm-hmm.
kind of like body imaging,
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up in a family, and some of the ladies in my family, I had 5 sisters, they were a little fat. My mother was a little fat. So there was a lot of fat shaming that went on with my mother and my sisters. And they were also dark because, I'm Latino and they were Latino and I'm a little lighter than the rest of them. And so when they would go to school, they would be called ugly because,
Not cool.
Yeah.
right. And then they would complain about all the blonde bimbos at school, in college.
Didn't
So when
they
I saw
call
Barbie-
They
that?
did call
They
Barbie a
literally
bimbo,
called
yeah.
Barbie a bimbo.
So when I would see Barbie, and I'd be like, "Why? I don't want my daughter having an image of a blonde bimbo as like the archetype of what she's supposed to be." But again, I was a dad who loved my little girl, so when she went Barbie, 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 Barbie,
Well, okay,
I went,
just,
all right, let's see what Walmart has
know-
available
you know what? I just
in the
want
toy department.
Just want to digress on that really quickly. Like that thing about like what women should look like or whatever. Like, I definitely see why that upsets a lot of people. But I think I was even saying that a few weeks ago. Like, it's really about you gotta like that. It's ego and like insecurity. Like having an over ego and being like super insecure. It stems from the same place, which is pride. So if you're like really obsessed with the way that you look in a bad way, then you're also like really obsessed in like a really prideful way,
Yeah, and a lot of superficiality. You're just like, what kind of person are you if you're just going to base your entire identity in
Off
just
of what you look like.
in the way that you look, like the way you were born. You can't control how you.
Well,
you don't. You
also-
can't control how you look unless you have a really expensive plastic surgeon.
Well, no, come on, but even if you have that, you have to redo that over and over. That's like a market it's like rehab. It survives off of repeat customers. And like another thing is that no, but another thing too is that I'm always bringing this up, like whatever like icon is in or whatever. It's like that person's gonna get old one day. You know what I mean? Like I take care of my 96-year-old grandma. I mean, like
she was a looker when she was young.
Yeah, she
was
was.
a looker.
She was. I mean, think about it. Like, who
Yeah.
was it? We had like what Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe. These are they all aged out, and I mean, Marilyn Monroe died before she could age out, which is not good. But like Margot Robbie, like people obsessing about her looks. It's like, well,
Yep.
she's just a person, and she's gonna age out one day.
Yeah, well,
and-
she was very okay. I don't get the point of calling her mid because I
It's the
think
Fred.
she's very.
It's the Fred Flintstone feet.
She's
That's what it is. It's the cave lady feet.
flat feet.
Remember
No,
that
scene,
trans?
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
obviously a trans. I don't know. I mean,
You know
it's-
what? I for a second there I was like, wait, is that a trans person? I was
Yeah.
like, wait, hold on, that is.
That is.
But
yeah.
for the majority of it,
Takes
I was,
about
I,
no matter.
All right. Now let
Don't
me
do
tell you why I
Don't do
refuse to see the Barbie movie.
Okay, please tell us.
It's the whole mid thing that you brought up. What is her name? I'm trying to get her name out of my head because I don't want my head to just be a marketing. Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. This whole debate about Margot Robbie being a mid. First of all, marketing genius. Marketing genius. They had everybody arguing about Margot Robbie
Yeah.
and her beauty in a movie where beauty is one of the main values and Margot Robbie is the star. And so everybody's arguing. No, so like I went to TPUSA in Florida, and from the podium, all these big conservative influencers and icons are commenting on, like Jack Pozo. I think he was the one that said, let me just say, Barbie is not a mid.
That's kind of weird,
Right?
though. 'Cause
And
it's-
I said, you
like, I
can't
wouldn't wanna be that
buy
guy's
that kind
wife.
of advertising. They got everybody talking about Barbie.
Everybody was talking about
And
it.
look
yeah.
at it. Went gonzo, over the top at the box office.
Yeah. It was so hard to watch that movie because not like in it, but like it was so hard to get tickets. That's how crowded it was. It was
Really?
insanely crowded, and everybody there was dressed up like Barbie, and it was like, whoa. I haven't seen this many people my age in a room together since like 2019.
Yeah, so why I refuse to go is I just don't want to jump on the Barbie bandwagon because I don't want them to market to me.
Well, okay.
I just want to be like, hey, I want to be like a free market individual that doesn't always do what the major corporations tell me to do and what to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
So that's it. I'll probably
they're-
never see this movie. And also, I hear it's kind of like a chick flick. I
well,
don't know. Really interested.
they're probably gonna really miss your like $22.95 that it is for a ticket. But anyway,
But
do you have
no.
any questions about Barbie that you would like to ask us?
Yeah.
Do I have any questions about Barbie?
And
Yeah.
unique, rack your brain.
So which-
you can answer the first one. I will be
So
quiet.
which-
I will not talk
where
over
do you?
No. Oh, yeah.
So Barbie, is it a based movie or not a based
Oh,
movie?
like,
Huh? Let's hear you gave that one. See, that was a brilliant. They got people arguing. They got something like Laura Loomer. Do you know who Laura Loomer is? Laura Loomer is basically like, when liberals get up and, they have a nightmare about the alt-right, they go, Laura Loomer. That's who Laura Loomer is.
That didn't answer our question.
I was like, okay.
All right, Laura Loomer. She's a political activist
Okay.
who is like super pro-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
She was involved in the first Stop the Steal effort down in Florida during 2018 with Ron DeSantis. Right now, she's like on social media. She's Ron DeSantis's number one enemy. She just is like attacking DeSantis day and
Okay.
night. So she's super red pill. She's a friend of guys like Nick Fuentes and Ali Alexander.
Okay.
Trump calls her out every once in a while and says, I love Laura. I love what she's doing. She's doing great, right? So, I know, bad
Okay,
Trump.
wait.
But-
wait.
She came out and said, oh, love the Barbie movie. It's for the patriarchy. It's great. It's accidental red pill
You know what?
based genius.
I felt like some of it was accident. Like, it felt like, because you see it and it's just like, I don't know. When I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if they try to, like, make it, they were trying to bash the patriarchy, but I feel like some of it was, like, a little too far where you just see it and I'm just like, ugh. But I don't know if it's just
Well, at
me.
the end, Barbie chooses
Right,
the
she
patriarchy.
chooses that, and I think that was a very interesting decision, and it was very interesting how, I mean, it's very obvious that the Kens were being just pushed around and not they were just being ignored, and it was really sad. I mean, I don't know.
Well, so I'll answer that now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if the mic is on in there. Okay, so I asked if it was based, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole movie did not. It was all about women, right? So it was a
Yeah.
chick flick in that way, but you did not really see. You only saw like there was like one mother, but her relationship with her daughter was so tainted, and the dad was like not there.
Well, you also
know what I
see
mean?
Midge, who was the pregnant Barbie.
right.
Oh,
But
they're all
they all making fun of her.
Yeah,
They're
I
always
was
like, ew, or like,
All
they're
right.
like,
Okay. When I
trying-
hear a conversation like this, you know what I think of?
Mm.
Bread and circuses, man. Bread and circuses.
what does that mean?
Bread and circuses is basically how the Roman Senate, the Roman elite, helped to control the masses. They would give them bread and circuses, like the gladiator games. They'd get them talking about all these other things, so that they would never address the real issues of the day: the corruption in the Roman Senate, the wars that kept going.
Okay.
So bread and circuses, because it's like, get people all riled up here. Because one of the temptations that based people or right people have is when they see a movie like this, they go, wait, Hollywood is secretly based. I knew it. I knew they were secretly based. And the accidental thing too, like they were accidental. Oh, what happened here?
Speaking of
We
accidents.
go offline. There we
go.
All right. FBI. The feds heard me and cut me. They're on to us. Hollywood's on to us. Anyway. So I see this time and time again, Christians especially, when they'll be watching a movie and they'll be like, they said God in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was followed by a damn. But but they said God in it. And that means that there's Christian elements in the movie. Hollywood's going to be saved. And it's like, no, Hollywood's this liberal bastion of untruth that, if left unchecked, will come for your children.
Well, no,
will turn them into a bunch of godless heathens.
I really do think that, yeah, it as relatable as it was, as a movie, especially for women. It was also just like made itself very clear, I think, off the bat. They had like the first like few minutes is like a bunch of little girls like slamming and
the dolls.
and I think that was it was obviously a reference to abortion to me. That's you know what I mean? Yeah, because it's like your babies are interfering with the women's dream to be an independent president or whatever the big list of doctor, lawyer, this, that,
Supreme
Court justice. And what's interfering with women being able to do that? Their babies. So I think that was that whole first. I think that's. I think
they were chopping babies up in it.
They were. These little girls were like smashing their baby dolls and exploding them, and then like Margot Robbie shows up as like a. And even Ray like rolled his eyes at that because he was like, "Okay, like calm down."
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I thought that scene was a little disturbing, just because of the fact that they were smashing the dolls, and I was just like, "Okay, that's a little interesting."
They were being very specific.
I think it signified the phases of when you switch from baby dolls to then now you're playing with Barbie dolls, which is kind of like a little bit of a step up. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they like. That's kind of what they said. It was, they were like, "Oh, like." We were so bored playing with baby dolls, but like that's not even like a thing, you know what I mean? My daughter plays with Barbies one day, plays with a baby the next. It's not like some like traditional thing going on. You switch from baby doll to Barbie. No, it's like it mixed.
No, you had baby like when you were playing with the Barbies, you had baby dolls too.
Yeah, but I think at a certain point, like for example, for me, I stopped playing with baby dolls and then I switched directly to just playing with Barbies.
So you did that, yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I don't know. Well, I was. I don't know.
Who even remembers at this point?
I don't know. It's like,
I don't know if a person were transgender or gay, they would remember the exact moment that they, even if they were like 4. That's what. At least that's what I keep hearing.
Cancel. No. So that scene to me though, that was like. Them being that extra, even Ray was like a little disturbed by that. I saw with my husband Ray, and he was just like, "What?" He was like, "This is getting weird." That was what he said to me because it was like they were smashing and exploding these baby dolls, and I think it was totally like, don't be pressured into being a mother. And that's the one thing that I would say why it's not based is because it was like. There's, first of all, the biggest thing was there was not one single strong man. You had a brainless CEO played by Will Ferrell, Elf. You had Ken, who was an emotional wreck. All the Kens, but that one main Ken was an emotional wreck who craved validation. It was like, I don't want to be around that kind of man ever. And then it was like all the other guys were like, I think there was a gay one dropped in there, and then you had the trans one, and that was all the men in there. But you did not have like a decent man. You did not have like a stand-up guy. Like there was no like Batman archetype in that movie. You know what I mean? There was no like guy who was decent, secure, just there for women, doing his own thing. That man did not exist in that movie. You know what I mean? It was all beta males, and there were no strong mothers either.
Can I throw a other like little social cultural commentary on this whole discussion?
Yeah. Oh, and
so you guys have talked. You guys
way too long.
You guys have talked about Barbie a lot, right? And it's not like you're not like
I didn't talk about it as long as Ben Shapiro did.
No, Ben Shapiro talked about Barbie, and then Brett Cooper talked about Barbie, and then everybody's talking about Barbie. Everybody's talking about Barbie. I may actually watch it now. You know why?
Why?
Because I keep on hearing all these like subtleties in the film where first of all, Greta Gerwig, isn't she the what is was the
She's
first?
a director. Didn't she direct Marriage Story?
Yeah, no, she
No,
did
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird,
Yeah.
right, which another
Marriage Story? Terrible movie, by
No,
the way.
but Lady Bird was supposed to be a pretty good
Talk
movie.
about a
right?
downer.
Lady Bird. So she's a pretty good filmmaker. Never really seen her stuff that I've seen. I think I've kind of avoided it because I'm like, I don't want to do any liberal stuff. But the thing I'm becoming convinced of is that she's probably a pretty good storyteller, and the fact that nobody can quite figure out what she is saying in the movie. So what it's doing is causing this whole cultural discourse about all these issues.
Yeah. That's why I said
And
that
the fact
Margot
that
Robbie
people-
is still on the fence.
Yeah,
You still don't know
yeah,
where
the
she
fact
stands.
that people are walking out of the movie theater and having these arguments, not about the movie itself, but about life, tell me it's probably a great piece of art that I may be missing out on. But here's the deal, though. Liberals, they know how to make great art. They really do know how to make movies that even when they pack them with all their values, they can't help but also pack it with these other values that they don't agree with that bring complexity to the storytelling. And that's actually my number one criticism of storytelling and narrative on the right is we're just polemic with it and didactic. We just are a podcast wasteland where you tune in and you hear people just repeating bullet points and yelling and screaming and explaining things over and over again.
Yeah. I can't listen to it anymore.
I can't.
When
I
have
can't.
a podcast.
I can't listen to the podcast. I'll watch this podcast for sure. For the,
No, but it's true though. Like we did want to talk about some other things, and we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
But it is true that
well, this is
you watch the conservative a lot of the conservative talk shows and stuff, and it's just like, yeah. I've heard that you're not really giving me something new, and it's true that with that movie Barbie, it's hard to tell where it stood, but to me it was like, oh, it's obviously liberal, whatever. But
right. It's kind of like if I want to go to a conservative conference, I can find one. TPUSA, that's a great one. I think the Blaze just had one. If I want to go to a liberal conference, I'll go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Con sounds like that people get pretty.
No, but it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
That's
It's definitely a fun place to be at, I think.
There's a lot of
yeah. If I want
Yeah.
to, if I want to like watch what Republicans and conservatives and Christians are talking about, I'll listen to a Trump speech on RSBN. If I want to know what liberals are talking about, I'll watch the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So they dominate art, which means that they dominate culture, which means that they dominate the cultural narrative.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's frankly why they're doing so well.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
whether it's
agree.
bread and circuses or a real honest discussion, they're still holding
Yeah.
the conch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we could transition with that to something that they do have a hold on is a lot of school right now, especially here in LA, right? But I think there's a lot of like issues going on, and with parents' rights, and then we have a lot of discussions between that. But I don't know if you want to talk about when we're out.
If I want to talk about what is this about
Is
the
it-
arrest?
Yeah, we could go
Are you
into
kidding?
that.
I love talking about the arrest.
Okay, well, we could do that.
These guys keep on asking me like, "Are you sure you want to talk about the arrest?" Yes, obviously. I did the arrest. I did the arrest. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's
Yeah,
actually give
let's
context to
talk
this.
about that,
Okay. So, at the I think it was June 6th protest at the Glendale Unified School District building there in Glendale, downtown Glendale. And on one side, you got the parents. That's what they're calling themselves. And on the other side, you have the, I don't know what
Human
do they call them?
rights?
Human rights activists.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're calling themselves. Yeah, they're human rights activists and then the parents. Okay. So,
The Hot Topic shoppers.
right. But really, it's just
I don't know.
really, it's just the gay and the anti-gay people. So okay, or the trans. Trans is a better term for it. So leave our kids alone on one side, and
Trans people.
And you
trans-
walked right through
and
the
trans-
middle.
Right. So I walked in on the wrong side. Oh, I meant the wrong side for me because I walked in on the non-parent side, And I got stuck there because the police presence was so heavy. It was really hard to go from one side to the other. And I was only
a little
I was
hard,
only
yeah.
planning on dropping by for about 20 minutes just to check it out because I think I was going to run up here to help with the podcast here. Yeah. Instead, I got kind of stuck there and I got interested in watching. And then I noticed, oh my word, Antifa is here. I recognize all these Antifa, black bloc people with the masks, except they're all wearing rainbow masks. That's what they like to do when they go to the
And they were
Queer
wearing
Nation
communist.
events.
They were wearing communist flags too.
Yeah.
I noticed
So
them,
so
too.
there's like the RevCom, which is a Revolutionary Communist Party, but then there's straight up Antifa. These people are just like foot soldiers for extreme liberalist and leftist organizations. So they're there, and I'm like, I wonder if they're going to start something. Because I've seen them before at protests here in L.A., where they show up, conservatives get to protest, and then they show up and they start trouble. The police shut everything down, call a riot, and send everybody home. That's a win for Antifa, because that means they shut down the public discourse in the moment, and then they are embedded with journalists. They have these little Antifa journalists that go and they set up photo ops of, say, angry parents punching gay supporters, which is what played that night on TV, by the way. So they started doing that. They started like going around. All right, and so back to the protest. I'm there, and I decide I'm just going to start praying. So I start praying, and the next thing you know, like a fight breaks out. Police come, chaos. The police call a riot, right? It's an unlawful assembly. They have this. The only time they bring out the megaphone is to read the order of the unlawful assembly. They send everybody home. Well, as the motorcycles are rolling onto the conservative side of because by this time the police presence has kind of broken down, and I've been able to cross, and Antifa has actually gone home because they've achieved their purpose. I'm now hanging out with my friends there on the conservatives, on the parents' side, the conservative side, really. And as the police motorcycles are pushing everybody out of the parking lot there, I decide not today. So as they go home, I say, this is my home, and I lay down. As I like to say, I ask myself, what would Rosa Parks do? She refused to get off the bus. So I just refused to get off the bus, and then they arrested me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What would you say to someone who said, but you're not Rosa Parks?
Why am I not Rosa Parks? No, obviously I'm not Rosa Parks. I'm Emilia Martinez. Why would I not look to Rosa Parks for inspiration? She helped change the conscience of a nation.
I will say that
She's a powerful Christian woman who stood up for what was right. I mean, there's a reason she's a hero in our history books.
I mean, I will say that the current political climate is so tense. People who are like really pro-trans in the schools and stuff, they're not backing down. They believe it's like their way or the highway. And I saw it firsthand, and it was just like they wouldn't even talk to me because they could tell that I wasn't like a diehard trans in schools person, because they believe that, I talked to some of them finally, but they really believe that in order to save the child's life, you have to help them transform as soon as they know that they're the wrong gender. And usually it's around puberty or it's before puberty. And when you catch it like at that time, then they'll be more like the gender that they want to be like. If you catch the...
Yeah, that's gender affirming care. Right?
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's
it's just
why
gender affirming care. That's why
so...
it's called gender affirming care.
Yeah, that's why they're so diehard about it, because they literally believe that if you don't allow the child to be who they are, as
that they're going to have negative,
that they're going to kill themselves.
They're going to kill themselves.
That's what they were saying to me.
Right. You ever see a movie called Dead Poets Society?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
They're
going to Dead Poets Society themselves.
They're going to Dead Poets Society is what they're going to do. Dad, I want to be a singer and a dancer, just like Robin Williams is telling me. No, son. Why don't you just go kill yourself? Okay. Captain, oh my captain. Okay. Seriously, that's what's going on
terrible.
here. That's what's going on here. That's their argument. Is
No. Yeah.
And here's the deal: if that is a valid argument,
Mm-hmm.
then we should be transing the kids. We should absolutely be doing gender affirming care with preschool kids and kindergarten kids. I have a brother who's transgender. He says he knew he was different when he was 4. When he was 13, my mother came home and discovered a strange woman in her house. Turned out to be my brother dressed up in her clothes. Okay? When he stayed in the closet until he was in his 40s, where he finally came out because he felt very repressed, very suppressed. He was very depressed, and he was having the only place that he could express his true identity were in gay bars, where he was not really welcome, because gays and trans don't really get together. They really don't get along. And he would go to these gay bars, and then with all the smoke, because this is before no smoking laws, he was constantly having sinus infections. And so he finally said, enough is enough. I'm going to come out and live as a woman. Now, again, he was 40-something.
So what would you say
So
to
what would I
him?
say to him if, hey, you know what, when you were 4, they should have just left you alone and waited until you were 18. No, he would have said no. I would have preferred to have been like I would have appreciated gender affirming care.
So
Instead of being sent for counseling when I was 13 and caught at home and being told that that was the wrong thing. And then having to live a lie for so many years.
So you're saying that basically, if the trans movement if what these people are saying is true, then it should be in schools. So I guess
absolutely it should be in
so then-
schools. If gay couples can get married and there's no difference between that and straight couples, then couples who have children in the school system should have their children exposed to books like Jimmy Has Two Daddies. And when politicians say we need to teach that there are all kinds of different families in schools, that's a valid point.
Now, do you
If
believe
gay marriage is a valid point, then we should be teaching children that so that they don't grow up to be homophobic.
Do you believe that's a valid point?
Absolutely not. No.
What do you believe?
I believe that LGBT, or I'm sorry, LGBT, I forgot ladies come first there. LGBTQIA
Shouldn't it be
plus
T then?
identities are dysfunctional identities that come out of childhood trauma.
So what would you say to your brother?
I would say, I love you, and I love you so much that I wish you would do what I did and take on a male identity. And just and put your identity not in your flesh, not in your carnal desires, not in your trauma, but instead put it in Christ. So that's what I would tell him. That's what freed me.
But that requires a massive amount of faith, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mystery, you know. Well, ask John MacArthur. He's got a whole lot of theories about it, right?
So okay. So if you say that it's not right in society, and then it shouldn't be right in schools. So that's kind of where you stand on it.
Exactly.
If it's not okay ever.
If it's not okay ever. Yeah, if it's not okay ever.
It's not okay in schools. It's not okay ever.
Right, and if it's okay outside of schools, it should be okay in schools. So we got to make a decision here.
So we can see why tension is so high, because to them it's literally life or death
yes,
for these
to
children.
them it is life or death for these children.
And I think we need to understand that.
we
when
need to
approach
understand
them.
where they're coming from with this.
Because
or
I
else-
don't want anybody to die. My goodness, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
we're not just like evil, crazy people who are running around trying to
Right,
trans
filled
the
with
kids.
hatred.
Hit people with
Yeah.
the Bible.
Trying to hate, what happened to Sonia from Chino Hills?
Yes, from
yeah, you
Chino
guys wanted
Hills,
to talk
yeah.
about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was able to go to Chino Hills. What was it, last week?
Got some good interviews. I saw them.
I got some interviews with 2 board members from the Chino Hills Unified School District, and some interviews from some of the parents that were there. I got some interviews from both parents that had children in the school system, and also actually parents who came to support who were homeschooling their children or who had already homeschooled their children. But we had the whole entire school board meeting there that night was for a parental rights policy. So it was about how if a child identifies as transgender or is trying to want to identify as transgender, the school must notify the parents within 3 days of finding that out or that child expressing that.
So that was passed, right?
Yes, that was passed.
So that's good news,
That was
right?
passed.
Because-
That should be good news because we
Yes,
want
it is good
parents
news,
to
right?
know about their kids,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. So yes.
Then why would they be so angry about it to the point that I hear that they're throwing death threats
Right,
towards
so-
at Sonia?
They were throwing death threats to that. I mean, a lot of them I think was because they feel like it's such a hate. They're doing this because the parents hate their children, want them to die. Because a lot of them I felt when they were going up to speak during the school board meeting were talking a lot about emotional things and how it affected them and how there's mass suicide in children who aren't able to come out, I guess. But there was actually a person talking about that who was, I believe, 15 who came up to talk about that.
What did this 15-year-old say? Do you remember? Did they just say that they have
They
suicidal
were talking about
thoughts?
suicide and how it was really bad and
Okay.
that was just one of the main topics.
Look, I don't want to offend anybody,
Mhm.
but I'm so sick of this kind of attitude of, if I don't get my way, then I'm going to kill myself. I'm so sick of that. I'm like, and I'm seeing it more and more and more and more and more and more. I did not see it this much when I was a kid.
Mm.
And now I'm seeing it more and more and more, like, literally. And it's like, okay, over what? Your like, your parts? Really? Like, you're going to kill yourself over that?
Well, a lot of them have like other things like depression because of that.
Well, they say because of that, but
mhm.
it's like, okay, let's say you get the snippy snap or whatever it is, and then,
Many of them still have depression after.
well, yeah, I mean, is that really the cure for depression, or is there some layer of I'm choosing to be depressed in there?
Well, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Is that what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I'm saying the childhood trauma feeds both the depression and the gender dysphoria.
You know,
So it feeds both of those.
I think another reason why is also because of their heart. Their heart's not changed and it's not in Christ, so they have a lot of issues because of that. So I don't know.
But I feel
Yeah.
like trying to convert total non-believers is like, I mean, I have it as a goal. But it's like, isn't there like a more, I mean, I have it as a goal, but even the Bible tells us that, like, you know, most people are going to like spit in our face, you know what I mean? So it's like, is there a more realistic approach? Is there a more realistic goal? I mean, I had someone very close to me tell me that I was very judgmental for just the way that I talk and the way that I am. And then a week later, she's dead from suicide. So it's just like, is there a more realistic approach to these people? I mean, these people who struggle, because I think depression and suicidal stuff is kind of separate from trans dysphoria.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I come back to the culture. I think like the person you're talking about, right? I think she was a victim of our culture partly because there's a mental health crisis in our culture that comes from just dysfunctional thinking. It's like the breakdown of cultural values has been
Define dysfunctional thinking.
dysfunctional thinking like men are women. Men can be women. That's dysfunctional thinking because if you actually act on it, the long-term consequences of that don't create a healthy society.
Okay, another one.
You create
you can tap out of motherhood.
You
That's
create
another
you
one.
create more trauma.
Okay, another one. You can tap out of motherhood. You can always tap out of motherhood. Like, you know what I mean? That's another dysfunctional thinking, I think. Is that thing of motherhood is terrible. Motherhood should be looked down upon. And there's always, like, a way out of it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I get it. Yeah.
I tapped out of motherhood. No, actually, I kind of did. You know, growing up. See, I had some gender dysphoria growing up to the fact that I identified with my mother as a parent, but never my
TMI.
father.
Sorry.
Hi.
Sorry.
Tara, come over to the park side. Okay. So, I had gender dysphoria because I identified with women. And so I literally tried to think of myself more as a mother to my children.
Okay, I have a
So
question.
I was very affectionate with my children. I didn't like to discipline them. I did all like the mother kind of things. Like, I just want to cuddle them. Again, what changed me was my children.
Yeah, because I don't remember that at all.
No, I was
You
like,
must have
let's
been like, yeah.
here, come over here, cuddle on my chest, and they'd be like, no, you're too scratchy.
TMI. like back
No,
up.
because I had like, you know.
No. Anyway.
See,
No,
to this
I
day,
don't
can't
wanna
even talk about it.
No, please, no.
But, you know,
no.
but-
I have a question.
Okay,
I have a total other question.
Yeah.
Totally separate from
See,
that.
and I had to be
No.
okay.
Anyway.
See that
Hey,
body
wait. I have a
shaming that
question.
went
No,
on
no,
there?
no. This is a
Oh,
good
good.
question.
Good.
So if someone says that they'll kill themselves if they can't be a woman because they identify with women, then why are people who say I identify as like president so like treated like crap? You know what I mean? Why is that like a ridiculous statement to like? Because like I have a brother who's always has said that he identifies as like a successful musician, and people just call him crazy for that. And it's like, well, he identifies with successful musicians.
Well, yeah, I know. So here's the deal. You're right. It's kind of like if I can't have my dreams, I'm gonna kill myself. We can step back and go like, well, that doesn't sound like a really mature attitude. Doesn't sound like a healthy. Does not sound like the kind of attitude or belief system that will actually help you to achieve your dreams. It sounds like you're probably going to kill yourself before you even get started. So when we say to trans people, if those are the kind of things, that's disordered thinking too. If I can't X, Y, Z, I'm going to kill myself.
Okay, I have a question too.
That's disordered thinking.
You said you identified more with the women in your family, right?
Absolutely.
Did you identify with their problems too, like their worst days?
I thought I did. That's why I was like, I always believed that women were like good people in horrible circumstances, and men were bad people in good circumstances. That, you know, male privilege existed, and men got away with everything, and dad, got away with everything, was able to do whatever dad wanted. I'm sorry. And then, you know,
So you had a father that was really the problem.
I had daddy issues, yes.
So maybe that's
So-
all this is daddy issues.
Yeah, that was daddy issues. So in a way, I did identify with young girls who have daddy issues. But no. But see, I had a lot of sympathy for women. So like in my early dating life, I was total beta male.
Like Ken from Barbie.
Like Ken, well, even worse. Like I could never get a second date. Look at this. I would get like a first date, and then I would be like beta male, and then I wouldn't lead. I wouldn't pursue. I wouldn't do all the things that a young man would do with a young woman he has affection for. I would want them to ask me out now. I had it all backwards.
That's like
I would never make so when I
it's like
wouldn't.
Andy from The Office.
Yeah, so when I would never lean over and kiss him because I thought that was tantamount to rape.
Ooh.
Because because
Me
I was
Too.
pre-tube before Me Too, so I
Okay, what's the next?
there you go.
What's the next?
Am I too radical?
Well, you know what? I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit of the reactions that I got from Chino.
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened?
Well, let's hear-
Tell me about it.
So one of the first things that I want to talk about is some of the parents that I was talking to, and then okay, because when we go out in the for everybody who watches our videos on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you do, Tara and I always try and get opinions from both sides.
Yeah.
And even like somebody in between who maybe doesn't know how they feel about it, but expressing how they, what's happening. But when I was at Chino, I was getting a lot of the parents, a lot of people who were in support of the parental rights policy that they were going to put in place. And most of them were, talking about how we need to be focusing on what the children are learning, like math and reading and all these other things, because we're dropping in our scores nationwide. And then we don't need to focus on these other issues, right? Because it's just they need to be focusing on the things that they actually need to learn.
Yeah, the reading, writing,
right.
arithmetic, right?
Yeah, all that stuff. But when I was trying to go to, well, actually, some of the parents that I got, not a majority, but a huge amount of people there were people from Muslim faith. There were a lot of those people there. And it was very interesting. A lot of them were very vocal about how they felt about this issue. And I was asking them, about how is this like not homophobic? But then they were like, well, why are you forcing basically your religion on my religion, right? Where's the First Amendment right as well? So that was a pretty interesting thing that I saw there. But when I went to go over to talk to, let's say, all the transgender people, LGBTQ community, there was quite a few people there. They immediately, once they saw, because I go out with my dad to film, they saw my dad's hat that he had on, and it was from some sort of media company, or they do a lot of news things.
Yeah, they pegged him.
And they immediately saw his hat and they were like, nope, that's a conservative news outlet or something. And then they were just saying, no, we can't do an interview with you. And my mom was like, well, hey, she's a 17-year-old girl and she wants to get she's trying to exercise, journalism and trying to learn how to do that. And then they were like, nope, he's wearing that. And then once we went to another group that it's the same group, but they were just different people off. One of those people who had found out that it was a conservative news outlet or something, I don't know. They went over to that group that we were trying to talk to, and then they were like, nope, don't talk to these people. This is a conservative group, and blah, blah, blah. And then the one guy was like, that's a fascist. You're a fascist. And then my dad's like, my mom's like, no, he's just trying to wear the hat because, it was a free hat. Yeah. Okay. And
communism.
Okay, so
I mean,
so
you
so
called him a fascist, and because he
yeah.
wouldn't take off the hat, he was like, "Nope, why are you still wearing that? That's a fascist."
so here's the problem with conservatives,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this situation is a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example. These leftists know how to own and run the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They want to shut the other side of the conversation down, because if people actually listen to both sides, like you guys are trying to do, they might actually come to a different conclusion than the leftists want them to come to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So what they need to do, they, depending on the tactic in the moment, they'll shut things down.
Yeah.
Then what conservatives try to do is they try to have an in the moment. What's going on in the background there?
Maybe
hear
it's
you.
I think we have a
sometimes
mic
the mic
on.
is left on.
We got
Yeah,
a mic
we
left
do.
on in the
That's
back.
okay.
Okay, there we go. So, no, it's my primo. He's in there. He's cooking dinner for all of us. I hope you don't mind.
After the podcast.
Yeah, after the podcast, we're going to get some beans and rice. Okay, so conservatives try to meet that narrative.
Halfway.
Yeah, they try to meet that narrative halfway. So they try to have an honest conversation just based on the context of that moment.
What do you give an example of that?
Well, that is the example. They were like, "We're not going to talk to you," and then the conservatives go like, "Wait a second." They try to bring this. Well, no, we're journalists. We're free speech, right? No, you're fascists. Okay, so when they say you're
that's so
fascists,
brutal.
they're contextualizing you as people who do not care about journalism, right? Do not care about the truth.
It just seems like a whole lot of
marginalized groups, right?
self-justification. Because I'm
Right.
friends with liberals, and
Right.
I
So
just
what
don't talk
what
about
liberals
it
are really
usually.
great at is shifting the context. They
Yeah.
immediately shift context. So when you tell them something, it's like playing whack-a-mole with them.
Because
Because
you say,
you're trying to
say
come-
Jesus loves people, and then they go, Jesus hung out with prostitutes.
Right. So
Yeah.
so
There you go.
depending on what, yeah, that's a great example actually. When they bring up Jesus,
Yeah.
they never bring up Jesus in the
Jesus?
totality of, say, 2,000 years of Christianity and Christian theology, and
No, they bring it
thousands
up
of-
with.
They bring it in just like at the moment, like Jesus said, "Don't judge,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then at the same time they'll say something bad about Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jesus never existed, but Jesus said, "Don't judge." They
They
don't.
try
They
to use it on you.
they
too.
never say it at the same
Well,
time
yeah.
because then people will go.
When I became,
You make up
yeah.
your mind,
When
so
I-
they just come
No,
at
yeah,
you
yeah.
like.
This has been going on for a long time. That's why we don't. That's why we're not even arguing anymore. I feel like because back in 2019, when I really became a conservative, I used to get into arguments basically with people on social media and stuff, and it was anytime I would propose a thing that was pro-life, they would always just like either deflect to another reason.
Right, they deflect a
why
lot.
why
Yep.
it wasn't why my argument was bad, and then they would like deflect to another different argument. You know, it would be like, well, it's not a baby, and it's just like, well, it is a baby, and then
Right.
they say, well, it might not be a baby, but if it is a baby, then look at all the neglected babies from bad mothers. And it's just like, wait, what? You're like jumping all over the place. You're like hitting me with like 5 different arguments at once of why abortion is good. And it's just like, am I supposed to sit here and like...
Yeah, that's why they love the news cycle, because the news cycle is constantly shifting the focus on things.
Yeah.
And the narrative is focusing on, and people are never really able to step back and take a full big picture to weave a tapestry of what the full narrative is.
I don't think you can until you live it, you know? Because all those hypothetical arguments became my life. And it was just like...
Absolutely.
I
So
couldn't
that's what's
see
going
it.
on with Gen Z, is they're just, it's like they've got you guys on just like hypotheticals, this, paying attention to that.
What
and
about
and
that?
then they
And
got
yeah.
you, they got you, and then they get you guys in bad corners where now you're arguing about Barbie for half an hour, right?
Yeah.
And in a year from now, nobody's going to care about Barbie.
No.
But they'll have overturned the Texas abortion bans.
Oh, can we talk about that for 1 second,
Yeah.
actually? Can we just talk about that?
Sure. Real
So,
quick.
okay, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like this thing that, you know, these like women who were like coming up and saying like, I was not allowed to get an abortion in Texas, and here is my horror story. And one woman was like, one of the twins had died, or like was about to die, and it was killing the other one, so she needed like an abortion or something, and she couldn't get one. She was like crying. And then another one, she only got to hold her baby for 4 hours, and she was so upset at the stand that she was like throwing up. And then the other woman was like, I almost died. And then the Texas people were like combating that with, well, we're not, first of all, I agree with them on this, where they were saying that you need to stop calling the procedure of removing a deceased fetus out of a live woman. You need to stop calling that an abortion. That's more like a miscarriage, and it's a different procedure. But right now, the medical industry is trying to call it a spontaneous abortion, just so the language is, you know,
They're
that's
changing
like
the language.
yeah, that's like it's manipulative. By manipulating the language, they're actually like helping their case somehow. So like they're calling it like spontaneous abortion. So then they're trying to legalize a procedure where you, but it's like, no, if the heartbeat is there, it's alive. You can't do it. If the heartbeat is not there, then yes, that is a different operation. That's a tragedy. You know what I mean? And then the other thing was that they said, don't be mad at us, be mad at the doctors who are performing politicide. And I think we're just going to see the spiral more and more. Like this maybe didn't make like everybody's radar, but I remember when they first passed it, these stories were already coming out, and I was already posting about it, and nobody cared back then. And now it's like to this level, where now it's like, whoa, people are starting to care. And I think the next round will be like big news, like Barbie level news, you know?
Yeah, you know, let me pull this full circle, since we've been talking about Barbie, and she really is on point, because let's take it full circle to men and women, right? I think the big problem in this whole cultural discourse we're having, the 180 discourse,
Yeah.
as you would say, is that conservatives, their communication style and their thought style is very masculine and male-oriented. And then liberals, leftists, have a very feminine, very female-oriented. And if you look at it, they're having this horrible conversation where, you know, the guy is, you know, so they're getting these circular discussions that never move things forward, but the female always gets her way in this relationship. That's an unhealthy relationship, when a female always gets her way. It's a very unhealthy marriage. So because you get men who are just they're like cavemen. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. You're not making sense with paycheck. Paycheck not big enough. And she's coming at him like, you're gonna be alone on Friday, and I'm divorcing you, and I'm taking the kids, and I'm crying, and I took my father, and you know, and they're just, and she's like, and you called me something that you should have never. What did I call? Why did I call? You called me fat. And you know what fat means? Well, you are 20 pounds overweight than when I married you. So that's the conversation that is literally going on in our culture. And again, we're like, when they talk about national divorce, we're headed that way. Because in a marriage, a man needs to lead. And there are times when he has to speak to his wife. He has to understand his wife's heart in a way that he's able to say, honey, we're not doing that. We're not going over there for Christmas dinner where your family is going to call you fat and ugly for 2 hours. She goes, but they're my family. And he goes, well, they're going to have to find out that this Christmas you're their punching bag.
Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
so you're saying the man needs to be more of a
Men
man.
need to step up. That's actually for me the bottom line of this whole thing.
Wait, how did that circle back from Barbie?
Because what did Ken do?
He was so emotional. I was like,
Yeah.
bleh. I was like the Barbie, like, bleh.
Yeah, yeah.
The Barbie scene where they're just like throwing up.
And then Barbie, and then you get literally like Ben Shapiro and Brett Cooper arguing. You know, just that male and that female argument going over and over again.
It's just going in circles and circles and circles.
It goes
and
in circles.
until people
It's
get
literally
sick of it.
right. It's literally.
So you're saying that men just have to be like, enough. We have to do the
men
right
have
thing
to
here.
lead. Men have to lead because at some point you have to say, "Yeah, I'm sorry." You know, if she says pull over for directions, that's good. Pull over, be a man. Pull over for directions. Pull up your Google Maps. But at the same time, you just have to go like, "Honey, don't get out of the car. Those people across the street are going to hurt us. Lock your door. We're leaving this neighborhood." Okay, they have to say uncomfortable, hard things to protect their wives and their children.
Okay, well, we do have 1 minute left, so.
Okay, well, we can continue this another time. Anyway, so did you hear that, though? Men need to man up.
And hey, don't forget, I've got a show coming out on Lore TV.
Lore.tv.
Lore.tv. Loor. It's like floor minus all the effing. LOOR. It's comedy. I'm on a mission to save comedy from cancel culture. When we launch, how about I come and I show you
Yeah,
some of the
that'd be
show?
great. Yes, I actually am
think-
going to be working on that, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hashtag fake news show on lore.tv.
Yes,
Okay,
hashtag
yeah.
fake news show. Anyway, all right, well, we're wrapping up now. Thank you so much to our guest. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Ellie. And just, do you want to give a quick shout out? I mean, we have our website up on the screen, but just a quick shout out, just a quick before we.
I think are we closing out soon? I don't know.
Yeah, we are.
So on Instagram, so we're 180.shift, Twitter and TikTok 180shift, and then Facebook Tara, and then the letter N and Ellie.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, just continue to follow us in our conversations and don't be afraid to reach out. Go to 180movement.org and fill in your information if you want to be a guest on the show or just if you want to be involved in anything that we're doing. We love to grow the message and just try and help people see clarity. And
Be on our podcast.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much. All right, bye. Like that's like my voicemail. Okay, bye. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that was great.
That was great. Very good.